Okay, so joint variation first. We will start with joint variation. Now, when we say joint variation, it is actually a direct variation. The only difference is that there are three involved variables. Okay, so for example, we have x, y, z. X varies jointly. Okay, we have now the word jointly as y and z. So for example, we have that statement. X varies jointly as y and z. So we have now the term jointly. X varies jointly as y and z. In mathematical statement, we can write that as x equals, we have of course the constant k, and then beside k are the variables y and z. So x varies jointly as y and z. So there is no fraction on the right side because jointly. Because jointly is somewhat similar to direct variation. The only difference is that there are three involved variables. In direct variation, you only have two variables. For example, x and y. X varies directly as y. There's no z. In this case, in joint variation, there are three involved variables. For example, x, y, and z. X varies jointly as y and z. So you cannot say directly here because there are two variables that varies jointly as x. Okay, so that's how we represent joint variation. Let's have an example. Let us use the example in your book. Open it on page 215. So example number 1. Find the equation of variation where A varies jointly as B and C. Let us use that. So this time we have a statement A. A varies jointly as B and C. B and C. Therefore, it will be represented as a mathematical statement as A varies jointly as B and C. We have A varies jointly as B and C. And then in this case, there are given values for A, B, and C. A is 36 when B is 3 and C is equal to 4. So we have these three given values. What we need to do is to find the equation of the variation. So to do that, we simply need to replace these three numbers to A, B, and C respectively. So we have A will become 36 from the given, K is still K, the constant, and B will become 3, and then C will be 4. Multiply first 3 and 4, so we get 12. We have 36 equals k times 12. 12 should be written before k, so we can write 36 is equal to 12k. To find k, we divide both sides by 12. 36 is divisible by 12. The result is 3 equals 12 divided by 12 equals 1. So what we have here is k. Therefore, k is equal to 3. After getting the value of k, which is 3, we simply need to replace it in the first equation. So we get here, to find the equation of the variation, we will get A equals, instead of K, we now write 3, B, C. So we have now this answer. The equation of the variation is A equals 3B, C. Okay. After getting the equation of the variation, you can now get easily whichever value that you need to solve. For example, in this problem, after getting the equation of the variation, you need to find A when, so there are two given, when B equals, let's say, 5 and C equals, let's say, 8. Find A when B equals 5 and C equals 8. We can now easily find A because we have now the equation. So you simply write A equals 3 times 5 times 8. So we have A equals 3 times 5 times 8. We have 40 times 3, 120. So we have now the answer. A equals 120 if we need to find the value of A after getting the equation of variation. So here are the steps in finding the value of the equation of the variation up to finding the value of what is missing in the problem. So let us move to the next kind of variation. We have combined variation. So from the name itself, when you say combined variation, we will be combining the direct variation and inverse variation. So we will form one variation or one equation using direct and inverse. So let us move to the last variation. We have combined combined variation. Let us use the same variables A, B, and C. But this time, you will not see the word jointly. Instead, we will use directly and inversely. So let's say A varies and not jointly, we will replace it with directly as B and inversely as C. So if the statement is like this, A varies directly as B and inversely as C, it is called a combined variation. In one sentence, in one statement, you can see both directly and inversely. So in this problem, both direct and inverse variation are present. So to find the mathematical statement, you start with A equals, then write the constant K. From the name directly as B, B should be beside K. Okay? Yung variable which is directly varies with A should be in the numerator, while the variable that said inversely should be in the denominator. So we have now A equals K times B all over C. Okay? Yung directly should be in the numerator, the inversely should be in the denominator. So we have A varies directly as B and inversely as C. Z, the involved here is Z. We have the statement Z varies directly as X and inversely as Y. So from the statement Z varies directly as X and inversely as Y, we can write this equation. Z is equal to K times X all over Y. Directly as X, that's why X is beside K. Inversely as Y, that's why Y should be in the denominator. And then there are given values. First, Z equals 9. And then another, we have X equals 6. And then Y equals 2. In the first part of the sentence, all Z, X, and Y are given. We have 9, 6, and 2. Therefore, we can solve for K using this equation. Replace Z with 9. K remains as K. Replace X with 6 all over. Replace Y with 2. Simplify the equation. We can first divide 6 with 2 because 6 is divisible by 2. But if not divisible, if the case is, for example, this is 5, you cannot divide it by 2. You first multiply 2 with 9. 2 times 9 first. But in this case, 6 is divisible by 2. So we divide it first for easier computation. 6 divided by 2 equals 3. 3K. Divide both sides by 3. Of course, this will be cancelled out because 3 divided by 3 equals 1. 9 divided by 3 is equal to 3. That is the value of K. K is equal to 3. And then we now write the equation of the variation. So we begin with Z equals 3x divided by y or over y. This is now the equation of the variation. You will use this every time you need to find any value in the equation once the two other values are given. Let's say, for example, continuation, page 221. Solve for z. This time, x is 8. This time, we have x is equal to 8 and y is equal to 12. Look for the value of z using now this equation because we have now the equation of the variation. So we write now z is equal to 3 times 8 divided by 12. So we have z is equal to 3 times 8 is equal to 24 divided by 12 is equal to 2. Therefore, z is 2 when 8 is the value of x and y is equal to 12. Let us summarize the four types of variation. We have direct, we also have inverse, and then we have joint, and then the last one is combined variation. Square. Now, I'll be changing the solution because we changed the given problem the square of y. So it will become z equals k times x over y squared because of the statement square of y. So in the solution, we will write 2 squared. And then 9 is equal to 6k over 4. It will become 4 because it's 2 squared. Make cross multiply first 9 times 4 because 6 is not divisible by 4. We can first cross multiply 9 and 4. We have 36 equals 6k. Then divide both sides by 6. K is equal to 6. So instead of 3, it will become 6. Because we added square of, that's it. That's how we solve kapag may square. So don't forget my square yung y. Sometimes hindi lang square. Sometimes there's cube of a, example, ganyan. Pag cube naman, raised to 3.